Welcome to Chalk Talk, a weekly preview of West Tennessee football featuring the JSUN sports team on JSUN.com.
Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Chalk Talk, the college edition here on JSUN.com. I am Brandon Shields here with our local college writer, Craig Thomas. You're not Michael O.
No, I'm much better looking.
Yeah, much. Yeah, Craig Thomas. But Craig, we got 3 games this week going on. It's going to be a busy week. We'll start with one home game going on as Lindsey Wilson is coming to Bethel.
Yeah, this is a tough test. Good things first. Bethel coming off a 2-touchdown win this past week. Got some things going. Got several touchdowns. I think won 42-28. Got several guys who really stood out in that game. I think if you can just look at the numbers. I mean, Quincy Walden, who continues a really good season. We'll be talking to him this week. He had 4 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 2 receiving. Young man out of South Gibson who's having a really strong junior season. Max Massengill is a linebacker from Florida, had 3 interceptions in that game. Wow. And then returned 1 for a touchdown. So that is an awesome day on defense. I mean, no doubt about it. But Bethel, I think some really good signs out of that game. They had really had a chance to put Faulkner away the previous week, with that big lead, and then blew it. So I think good to come back, bounce back against Cumberland on the road, and get that first division win of the season. I said going in that was going to be their likeliest division win. I really didn't see them getting one if they didn't win that. So definitely good to get that, because these next 2 weeks are really, really tough. And it starts this week with a home game against Lindsey Wilson, which has fallen to 15th in the NAIA with a couple of recent losses to ranked teams. But they were up, at the top basically earlier this season. I mean, this is a team that's going to really challenge Bethel, I think, in all facets of the game. This is going to be one of those games where you got to have some accuracy between quarterback Kerry Sellers and the receivers. You got to have some really good blocking up front. Got to get Devin Raymer some pretty good yardage, run the ball, and some other guys as well. And then defensively, where Bethel's probably even had more issues in the last couple of weeks, got to be a lot stronger up front. Got to be a lot stronger in that secondary. I know this sounds pretty basic, just generic information, but it's got to be stronger really in all phases to compete against the kind of quality competition they're going to face next 2 weeks with Lindsey Wilson and a Reinhardt team that honestly may be even better the week after that on the road. So, home game for Bethel this week, another chance to go out and see the Wildcats, to try to, make some progress, get things sort of back on track. It's been another fairly tough season, but definitely I think there's probably some good vibes coming off really the last couple weeks when they played well against Faulkner, and then they didn't let that become sort of a hangover type deal. Just went out and took care of business against Cumberland and got that win. So that'll be Saturday afternoon.
All right, well then Lane will be on the road going to Morehouse College.
Yeah, you talk about good vibes. I mean, Lane did not have good vibes really through conference play up until last week, and then the Kentucky State game, things were not going well. They were down 14-0 pretty quickly. Just kind of looked like it was one of those games where things might snowball and kind of get out of hand. But while Lane's offense was sort of the star at the end of the game, and I wrote more about that on Sunday morning's paper, really the defense, without them, it doesn't even come up that way. I mean, the defense basically held Kentucky State to nothing for a long time. That second half, they didn't give up much of anything. And so when you're constantly either turning teams over on special teams or on defense, or forcing 3 and outs, you got to give those guys a lot of credit, because they're giving your offense more chances. I mean, it's obvious, but I think that really made a difference. Marcus Reynolds was Conference Offensive Player of the Week this week, and well deserved. Through a 35-yard touchdown pass to Darius Mitchell to get him within 2. Ran for the 2-point conversion, and threw a 72-yard bomb that I don't think anybody saw coming, because Lane doesn't throw deep that well. Threw a 72-yard pass to Aaron Thomas to win the game with a minute left. So obviously it was an exciting game. It was something that if you were at that game as a Lane fan, you had to really be pumped up just sort of see. That crowd was really into it. There weren't a whole lot of people there, not like there was for the Tuskegee game or the Central State game, but it was really nice thing to see, I think, for the Lane fans. There just hadn't been a whole lot to cheer for this year. It hadn't gone the way it was supposed to, but the defense and offense came together in the right moments to get a win.
All right, well then in the final game to discuss this week, UTM is on the road at Eastern Kentucky, right? Yeah,
the UTM has got the most to play for of those 3 local teams. I think they're still in the playoff race for the 2014 FCS playoffs. It's going to be tough. There's not a lot of room for error, and they've got a couple tough games coming up. That starts this week at Eastern Kentucky, a place they won a couple of years ago, but before that had never won before. it's a team that's going to be good offensively, pretty sound defensively. They've got, on offense, they got a quarterback who can run and pass pretty well. They're just a fairly complete team and a fairly complete program. They've got a great history at the FCS level. They've won national championships back in the 80s. They've got a good support base. I mean, this is one of the OVC's stronger football programs. And I mean, it's going to be probably a game where UTM comes in a little bit of an underdog, but they've played very, very well in conference. Obviously, the offense has really stood out, even getting 28 points at Arkansas this past week. But Jared Neal has been as good as advertised as a senior quarterback. The line continues to hold up really well. Devin Fair did not practice yesterday, at least he wasn't scheduled to. He's got a little bit of a knee injury. I think he's working out, but young man from O'Brien County could really help him, I think, in the running game alongside Trent Garland and Jamie Bowe, and Najee Ray. So definitely opportunity for UTM. I think though, if you look at these next 3 games, Eastern Kentucky, Eastern Illinois, and SEMO, if you win 3, I think they're in the playoffs, honestly. As an at-large, assuming Jacksonville State goes ahead and wins the conference. If they win 2 of them, I think it's possible. They're a bubble team. It's one of those unfortunate things where they're going to have 2 losses on their schedule that's not really their fault because they're playing Arkansas and Ole Miss. They're just not really set up to win those games, but it does show up on your record. And if somebody's just sort of glancing at the record, they could.
Well, the people that make that call, though, they know, okay, 2 of those losses are to the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope for sure. But I think sometimes when you're comparing teams that maybe has 2 wins in that spot against FCS competition, that still might be an advantage because they've got those extra wins. But in any case, obviously I think they sort of control their own destiny as far as the playoffs. It's been 3 years since we could really say that this late in the season. So definitely a step forward for the Skyhawks, taking advantage of all the experience they brought back and the talent they have. So definitely a lot to forge this noon game pretty early. But big day for UTM, no doubt.
All right, well, be sure to follow Craig on Twitter at JSRiderCraig, right? For updates on all that. He'll also be helping out on the high school beat with cross country, so with the cross country state championship, so he'll have updates on that as well for any of you high school cross country fans. But will you be able to have a roundup in the paper?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have notes on all the games, no doubt.
All right, so thanks for watching and thanks for reading Jackson Sun and JacksonSun.com. Good luck to your teams this week.